101. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Jackson Williams. An NFL News and independent arbitrator ruled that the NFL encouraged teams to collude to reduce guaranteed money to veteran players. This is according to reporting from Pablo Torre. There is no evidence that NFL owners acted on this encouragement. In other NFL news, Aaron Rodgers announced today on the Pat McAfee show and said that this season is likely his last in the NFL. Rodgers signed a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier this month. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics are trading guard Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anthony Simmons and 2 second-round picks. Drew Holiday is owed over $100 million over the next 3 seasons. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Blaine, I forgot to mention this yesterday, but Ron Slay was on the Buck Rising show in an earlier segment, and I was passing by him as I was coming inside the studio, and we measured, he's on crutches. I grabbed one of his crutches, eye level for me. Like, his crutches are basically my height, as tall as me, which is just wild to think about, that basically I could be up in his armpits propping him up.
Would you like to rephrase that?
You could be his actual crutch?
I could be his actual crutch. I mean, it was really insane how tall they were. I mean, he is a large human, obviously, because he played basketball and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes just the, I guess, perspective that comes from a tall human versus a short human like myself is just really wild.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand how tall it is. It's just uncomfortable for those basketball guys to even just fly on a regular flight.
Yeah.
Just imagine their knees feel like they're in their chest.
He had to get, they tried to x-ray his leg today in an x-ray machine. This was from Joseph earlier, and they had to do it in 2 different sections because his leg was too big or too long to fit into the x-ray machine.
I can't imagine.
That's just wild. That's just wild that there's someone like that.
Yeah. You know what I hate? I always interpret. If I see somebody tall, I'm like, oh, man, you play basketball, whether it's in high school, college, and then they be like, no, I didn't play basketball.
Then why waste your height?
I was like, oh, man, you could have gave me a couple inches, would have helped me out a lot.
Right. Like, what are you doing with all that height? What are you doing way up there?
Oh, man, I feel so bad then. I was like, just making an assumption just because they're tall, looking athletic build that, you probably play basketball.
Yeah.
Nope. Not even in like high school.
What a waste. Like, what a waste of God-given talent.
Block shots or rebound at worst case scenario.
Right.
Dang, I was so embarrassed. I had to stop that. Making assumptions.
Some people just aren't coordinated.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a certain height, you could probably just dunk it.
Like, I mean, it was like guys that are 6'9".
Yeah,
I mean, you put your normally tall.
Are you talking about like 6'3" or 6'2"?
No, not yet. Not.
I mean, even those guys are giants too. But like Mike Herndon, from formerly a Football and Other Efforts, but over at PK.com, he's like 6'7", 6'8", something crazy like that. He's super tall. And he did play basketball, then he tore his ACL and does not play basketball
That
anymore.
is the most surprising thing.
College?
What?
That he's 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, he's like super tall. I mean, that's why we call him Big Mike.
Yeah, that's tall,
not because he's fat. It's just because he's tall. His brother's tall too. It runs in the family. It's crazy.
Who's the tallest in your family?
Yeah.
Me, by a wide margin.
See,
how tall is that?
I'm like 6'1".
Oh, okay, Ross. We know that means 6 feet and a half.
I'm the tallest as well by an inch or 2.
Oh.
I'm nowhere near the tallest.
I'm not the tallest. I was just asking who was the tall, like what height is the tallest.
My granddad on my dad's side was probably 6'5", 6'6". And he was a basketball player for Kentucky. Holds a scoring record over there in Kentucky.
Some insight there.
Yeah.
Hey, got some athletic gene in there. Yeah, man. My uncle was 6'6". I don't know. He didn't play no college. He went to the military. So I wonder how that experience was being 6'6".
Yeah. Okay. I got something else that's crazy. And now, Jackson, You gamble sometimes, I know. I'm sure Ross may find this interesting. But last night, there was apparently...
Ross gambles every day when he gets a
Yes,
haircut.
that's true. FanDuel last night lost over $2.2 million on an enormously circulated home run parlay that night. That last night that was capped off with James Woods hitting a home run versus the Padres. So they lost $2.2 million on a parlay that circled around, Twitter and stuff. Because there's all these gambling accounts that are like, hey, if you follow me, here's a parlay, and then you can pay me some money to get more, bets and everything. FanDuel immediately made rules changes that will now allow them to not pay gamblers who hit big money after tailing heavily followed parlays. So if they see this one particular parlay get a lot of hits, and they come to find out, they find it like on Twitter or on Instagram or social media somewhere like that, they will not reward it. That is wild.
That
That's
seems
insane.
illegal.
You would think.
Well,
you would
gamblers.
think.
I know you guys are big time gamblers.
That's-
It's just ingrained in me. I don't gamble.
They're labeling it business usage. Business usage includes any use by a betting operator or any use by an individual or organization supplying data or services. That's kind of crazy. So, FanDuel Sportsbook now reserves the right to void any or all bets made by any group of people acting in conjunction with each other or any individual acting alone in attempt to defraud FanDuel Sportsbook, which an attempt to defraud seems, and we're going to get into a lot of legal jargon today, but that one's a little much.
How can they? I don't understand that. Please explain to the old guy.
A lot of people going to be moving to different betting sites after this.
Because there is no attempt to defraud.
What?
You're just tailing a parlay.
Yeah, you're tailing a parlay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how they could even
I don't understand how they could do it. So essentially, they're giving themselves the option. This is like a nuclear option, is what they're going to do. Is that hey, if we get another one of these big time parlays, we're going to press the button and we're not going to,
then they're going to just
fund
leave.
any of these. And then what's going to happen is that they're going to end up getting sued.
Well,
someone hit $100,000 last night, so they could technically say, "Hey, lawyer, if you'll get some of the proceeds of the $100,000, maybe more from damages if you represent me, because I'm not attempting to defraud anybody."
Yeah, I would just go to another site, like Jackson said. Yeah, I don't even have time for that.
Yeah. Nebraska Matt in the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live says a legit, extremely silly behavior from FanDuel. I'm happy to only use DraftKings going forward. Okay. It's going to be at their discretion, of course, which will let them say, no, we're not paying big dollars.
But they'll still take your money if it doesn't hit.
Yeah, if it doesn't,
like if you use one of these sites and it doesn't hit, they'll take your money and they'll.
Oh yeah, for sure.
See, that's the thing, is that there's so many betting sites now. This just seems a little silly because, how much did that $2.2 million really affect the bottom line at FanDuel?
It's like a day's loss.
Because you got to think that how many people put in bets for like $100,000 to get paid $110,000, you get paid and they lose that money. So, this seems a little silly.
Is this the biggest purse they've given out? I don't understand what their motive is right here.
They must have been hit a couple of different times, is what I would assume. Because I wouldn't think that this would be an extreme overreaction just to one event.
Right.
But if this was many events, sure. But also, think of it. Listen, I follow a bunch of guys that do this parlay thing, right? They put out their...
Did Ron Slay do it?
Well, yeah, he does the parlay. The parlay. So, but these guys, they crunch the numbers, do the data and all this stuff. And they'll say, Joe Burrow versus the Steelers 90% of the time has passed 250 yards. So let's put that as one leg of the parlay. And they do all that stuff. But there's often times that those parlays lose you money. And so they're going to get that money back. I find this just very weird that they're willing to alienate and not take people's money over any instance of a parlay hitting. Because if anything, that makes you want to go, bet more, right? Well, dude, I just saw all these people win $2.2 million in total. All these people got to share this parlay. I want to go spend more money. Because you're not going to get every money. Every bet's not going to hit.
Right. That's why I said I'm wondering what angle they're coming from here. Yeah. This makes no sense to me. I don't know, man. Maybe they they can't prove something, but they feel like there is something there. You know how that is?
Well, but also hitting a home run is so hard.
Man.
It's not like it's easy. You can go hit a home run on command.
Right.
Right. It's
It's not
crazy.
even like a passing yard stat. It's like this guy has to get the right pitch and swing at the right time and hit it real far. So like it's almost random. Like especially when betting on this. So like I don't think even data-driven analysis is really that impactful because even if, 75% of the time against this pitcher saying this pitch, James Wood or Ronald Acuna hits a home run, in baseball, that's not always the best way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's to think about it this way. You can even bet, Blaine, I even think this guy will just get a hit. Like, Ronald Acuna will at least get a hit, and maybe he's a poor example to use, but like ex-player, just get a hit. You could bet that.
Because he gets hits.
And guess what? You're probably not even going to see that. There's many times where I'll do a, really good odds to get like plus 100, but like really good odds that player is going to do it parlay, and I still lose $30. And because you can even guarantee a hit in the MLB. Like it's to me, this is just so silly, so silly. Speaking of silly, when we come back, we're going to talk about the NFLPA and the NFL's silly little argument over fully guaranteed money. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
All righty, so I've got a little extra around the middle, and I'm talking about some LBs, and it's earned, sure, but still. The dead bod isn't exactly what my goal is. I don't have time to go to the gym every day. I want to feel better when I look in the mirror, but, I'm not trying to do anything extreme. That's why I checked out M-Sculpt Neo at Edge Peptide Therapy. It tones muscle and melts fat, no needles, and no downtime. M-Sculpt Neo is the most advanced body sculpting technology available, merging fat reduction with muscle building in one effortless session. Like I said, no surgery, no downtime, just results that speak for themselves. M-Sculpt Neo is your secret weapon, building muscle and burning fat faster than traditional workouts alone. It's like doing, 20,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes without breaking a sweat. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 615-724-1878 to book in June for 2 free sessions. And it's easy, and it works. And all you have to do is just call them, 615-724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all four seasons garage doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. You never know what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning. I did not expect the first thing I saw 6 o'clock in the morning as I'm letting the dogs out is a clip of Pablo Torre, who, for those that may not remember, a couple weeks ago when we talked about the Jordan Hudson scandal with Bill Belichick, he was a big driver of that, did a lot of research, and got a lot of play, got a lot of information. He has come across and gotten, and it took him a while, a 61-page arbitration decision on the NFLPA versus the NFL over guaranteed contracts and collusion. Now, there's so many interesting elements, so I'm trying not to bore people with the details. We got in-depth look at the Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray discussions and contract negotiations and where those players may have did something wrong. We got J.C. Treader, the former players rep for the NFLPA, who is now chief strategy officer for the NFLPA. We have him maybe doing a little quid pro quo to get that title, but also calling Russell Wilson a wuss on the record. And maybe that's why we have not heard of this till now, because this was decided a long time ago, this case was, but it's been hidden. It's been buried. The NFL didn't want it out. The NFLPA didn't want it out. In fact, here's the crazy thing, Blaine. This 61-page document, this case over fully guaranteed money and all that, we are finding out the same time the NFL players are. Is that not crazy? The NFL players had no clue any of this was going on outside maybe a few rumblings here and there, but the NFLPA never communicated to its players that it represents that there was an arbitration case over fully guaranteed money. Agents didn't even know. Like, nobody knew except for J.C. Treader, DeMaurice Smith, and a few people in this case. That seems a little wild to me.
Yeah. You know, that's, well, we should have Ramono. He's a player representative. This is one of the reasons why I wasn't a representative. Didn't represent the masses of the players. You go uninformed about a lot of different things, so I chose not to be a part of it. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, none of this surprises me at all. And, you know, I really don't believe – I was stunned when, Deshaun Watson got the guaranteed contract. Of all people, especially during the period of time that he did get that with all the off-the-field issues and lawsuits and everything else going on. So why him is the chosen one, it was really interesting. And then that – led to one of the other guys' contract up, the three guys you mentioned there, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. Who was the other quarterback?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, yeah. So, I'm not surprised at all. So, I know to the public it is, but the main issue is they have what they call a management council. Mm-hmm. And really that's an advisory board to the NFL and the owners. And they're the ones telling them what to do. Unbeknown to a lot of the players who aren't really competent enough or even care about what all goes on behind the scenes. There are people who are representing them, and then they're the talking heads actually to the PA, and then the PA becomes really somewhat puppets, and then they play this game of like we're really fighting, and they're not. And then most of the time, the guys end up going on that side of it because they probably gave them inside information. So it's just a lot of that going on. So I just don't ever want to be part of anything like that. I'm sure, as people know around here.
So you won't make a bid with me to be NFLPA president?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
We could change things for the NFL.
They could pay me $1 billion. I'd still tell them no.
Well, it is a multi-million-dollar position, by the way. Multi-million.
They were paying in my time doing like $2 or $3 million. Yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah. So that's how money is the root of all evil. And then they flip and then they give them information because they are the powers that be. They're the ones who NFL, by the way. And because the players, and then they pit the players versus each other. And then the players, won't hold out and won't save money properly. Now, the way they're making money now, it should be a lot more feasible to do with the type of money that they're making now. But most players will not hold out and miss a game check. So that's what that's two of their strategies. They've done it for years. Is they know the players aren't going to hold out because they don't want to miss a game check. And number two is they pit the young players versus the old players. It's the old cat in the bag. A lot of big time, lawyers do all this stuff like that, and kind of like union type lawsuits and things of that nature. So it's just, I never wanted to be part of it. Yeah.
So there's a lot to this that I think, because most fans are going to be like, well, I don't care. And I get it. And I get why you think you should not care, but this affects future salary caps. This affects future contracts. By the time Cam Ward comes through, they're going to be probably in the midst, like his next big contract, if he was to turn into something, big that's deserving of a second contract. They're going to be nearing negotiations, if not already in them, for the next CBA, which is 2030. So the next CBA is due up 2030, and we're going to be very close to that.
This contract is up in 2029, right?
Yeah, 2029. So he's going to be right there, because you also got the fifth-year option if they choose to do that. So you're going to be right there. And the past two CBA negotiations, 2011, 2020, they have unsuccessfully negotiated for a fully guaranteed contract to be a real thing, a more prevalent thing. And that's really hard to do in the NFL, by the way. 53 players, some players not even deserving of it, an injury rate so much higher than the NBA and the MLB when it comes to contracts and all that kind of stuff. You have the hard cap and all that kind of stuff. And so, this is pertinent. This is also pertinent right now, if you guys do not know, and some people may not. Not a lot of second-round picks have signed recently, because the Texans gave Jaden Higgins a fully guaranteed, the first second-round pick to ever have all 4 years of his contract fully guaranteed. Femi Oladejo.
That wide receiver I liked.
That wide receiver you liked.
Femi hasn't signed.
You really liked him. Femi hasn't signed. He's among, only 2 or 3 second-round picks have officially signed a contract, because most of these guys are now, because of the precedent, trying to hold out for a fully guaranteed contract for all 4 years. So this is all very pertinent to the Tennessee Titans as well. This isn't just a NFL issue. And look, we kind of know the NFL. We know they collude. We know they talk. Now, they use it under the guise of solidarity and this NFL Management Council. They advise you, but it's ultimately, everything they say is, here's what you need to worry about, but it's ultimately up to you, the club, individually, to decide what you do with this information. But we know what really happens. I mean, that's just the nature of business in general, but that's the nature of the NFL.
Very true.
Because they are smart. We talked about it yesterday, right? How smart the NFL is as a business entity. And this is part of it. They maintain most of all revenue sharing. They maintain all the deals. They do all this. They do all the negotiating, because they're all smart businessmen and businesswomen at the end of the day, that they know what they're doing. They know they hold a lot of the power, based on what you were just talking about, is one of the good reasons that a lot of people can't afford to miss games, as a player.
And that's changing over time. So that'll be real interesting. I never thought I'd see a fully guaranteed contract with Watson. I never thought we'd see that in the NFL, because the rate of getting injured, and then that kind of messes up the salary cap, because then you have to sign more players. To me, I think the next step that the leverage will be by the NFL is to get it to 18 games and 20 games in the next CBA, and maybe then they soften the blow, and maybe ownership starts giving quarterbacks fully guaranteed contracts, and that can then eventually snowball into other guys, or superstar guys, let's say that. And they're already getting some portions of it are guaranteed now at this point in time, but we see even a second-round pick is not getting fully guaranteed contract. That's pretty much set in stone. He should be on the team. He will be for the last 4 years. Next 4 years. Man, if he's a bust, how much is his actual? I don't know his actual salary, but a signing bonus would be decent. But so I think it'll happen. It's just the money is getting so big. I think they're starting the NFL. They're starting to realize this fight is not as strong as we used to. If we want to, get to this 20, I think they're trying to get to 20 games, but the next step will be 18, I'm sure.
Well, this whole NFL management.
Remember, it was all about safety, about the players, and then now all of a sudden
we all know
increased to
that.
17, right? Oh, what happened? Oh, that they let it die down for a couple years, and then when it came back up, so
that 2020 CBA negotiation left a lot to be desired from an outsider's perspective. Just from a pure business standpoint, no skin in the game. And it happens a lot, but the NFLPA was just. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Told you.
No.
So it's just, man, and they're fighting an uphill battle. It's not like it's
right. It's not easy by any means, but when you really start reading between the lines, and we'll get to J.C. Trader's role and the new guy's role in all this, but like when you start getting into this whole thing, I never got the sense from his public statements, from the way they handled negotiations back in 2020, from also how he handled the COVID situation from the NFLPA's angle, I never got the sense he was living in reality, and I never got the sense that he actually had the entirety of the players' best interest in heart. It almost felt like he had his future aspirations to be the future NFLPA exec held higher in higher regard than the players that he represented at the time. That's just from the outside looking in.
Well, some people believe that.
Well, Pablo Torre made some connections. So let me go through those connections just real quick. So,
who was a Cornell graduate and NFL player? What did he play, center or guard for the Browns, right?
A Cornell graduate, center for the Browns, who majored and graduated with a degree in industrial and labor relations, by the way. So the new executive director, Lloyd Howe, was hired all in secrecy.
Yeah,
they
that's
supposedly
a red flag right there. Yeah. I've never even heard of the guy, and I'm not even paying attention. But I'm like,
you're about to hear about him.
I'm like, man, who is this guy?
So essentially, J.C. Trader hired a search committee, and apparently it was anybody could apply. Even I could have applied. Allegedly, you'd have to go searching for the link to actually be able to apply, but you could have done it. Now him and this hiring committee, then basically tell the board, the NFL board, the voting board of the players, the day, like 10 minutes before the meeting happened, here's the guy we're voting on. So they couldn't do a background check. They didn't have any information. They voted a guy that they barely knew in this Lloyd Howe. Lloyd Howe.
See the dysfunction right there.
Dysfunction.
And then you wonder why certain guys don't participate.
This is from the reporting of Pablo Torre.
Like, what?
And Pablo then goes and says, well, let me tell you about Lloyd Howe. No background in sports, no background in unions. He's been with Booz Allen, which is a government contract company, since the 80s as their CFO. Shortly after he left, they had to pay out. They had a whistleblower come forward after Lloyd left, had a whistleblower come forward, and she ended up getting $40 million, but they ended up having to pay hundreds of $millions back because they were overcharging the government on government contracts because certain foreign contracts were bleeding money. So they started overcharging and overreaching.
At his previous employer.
The whistleblower brought this to the CFO's attention at the time, and he said, don't worry about it. We're not going to do it. So she quit and then became a whistleblower. That was Lloyd Howe, was the CFO at the time. And then
Mr. Cornell couldn't find that out?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's why it was all in secrecy. So either he didn't find out and do due diligence, or he found out and ignored it, or didn't care. And then after he was hired and introduced, Lloyd Howe turns around and creates an entirely new position for J.C. Trader called Chief Strategy Officer of the NFLPA. So J.C. is now technically right-hand man, second in command to Lloyd Howe, who will likely be replaced by J.C. Trader. But if the NFLPA and the players that they supposedly represent were smart, they'd get both these guys out of here.
Yeah. Well, J.C. Trader then hence knew once it became found out, then he'll be in the chair he wanted, but he knew that they didn't want him in there because he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's how it works, man.
It's wild.
You got game, no game.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I said it always felt like in 2020, it felt like that he was about his career aspirations, and we've seen how it's turned around now. So they brought this lawsuit because Deshaun Watson, right? And then they said that at an owners meeting in August 2022, the NFL Management Committee and the NFL owners decided to collude and not give out fully guaranteed contracts. Now, the NFL Management Committee did say that Mr. Goodell, Roger Goodell, wanted to get out ahead of this situation because doing fully guaranteed contracts can create ramifications down the road. And they do want to raise a big concern, right? They want to raise a big concern and show the ramifications of fully guaranteed contracts, which it all mathematically, logically makes sense. It's not anything not abnormal.
Watson's a great deal because now they could never cut him. I mean,
yeah. Well, and also, how great did that deal turn out?
Horrible. Yeah,
exactly. And so they raised it. They did a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation on it. And they basically, all the owners have laughed off this idea that, yeah, they told us, but we have to go back and do what's best for us. We're competing with 31 other teams. They're not looking out for our best interest. We're not looking out for their best interest. So the NFLPA's decided that was an actual successful collusion attempt and used Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson as examples. But the problem with that is that, like, it really never turned out that way. They never had the proof. And I think that's why also the NFLPA has kind of kept the secret, because they ended up losing because they didn't come with the required burden of proof, according to this former judge who was the arbitrator of this case.
Yeah, so it became a nothing burger, and once again, the NFL wins.
The NFL wins. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Like, here's what John Mara...
I always wonder how the arbitrator gets selected.
So it's actually selected by both people. And so this is what Pablo Torre, I'm glad you asked that, because Pablo Torre brought this up and I thought this was interesting. So it's agreed upon by typically a former judge, but it's agreed upon by both people, and both entities can pull them at any point in time. So oftentimes an arbitrator, depending on, the preponderance of evidence, so the amount of evidence and how good it is, and how concrete that evidence is. If it's kind of wavering, kind of in the middle, he'll gauge the temperature on who really wants this case to more. Is it the NFL or the NFLPA? And then he'll side with that. Like, if he could tell, like, the NFLPA really cares about this case, and the NFL's like, yeah, we, give him one or whatever, he'll side with the NFLPA because he doesn't want to lose his spot because he gets paid a lot of money. So he's being very strategic in how they do this and how the evidence and all that's taken into account. So
he gets paid a lot of money. How much he get paid?
$multi-million.
No, the judge? Okay, well, watch
Everybody's
this.
getting millions of dollars except
this.
for us.
I wonder how that nice package that's sitting at his doorstep at night when he gets home is okay. Who do you think has the biggest pocket?
Right.
Oh, the NFL. Oh, yeah. I think the NFL won.
Yeah.
They make
They
a
left
strong
you $5
point.
million at your doorstep.
Yeah. Exactly.
These dudes, man.
I mean, listen, I read through this 61-page thing. Based on what I read here, they definitely did not provide enough information. They dug their own grave in some of this stuff.
Well, they had to get emails, and they had to filter through a whole bunch of stuff, text messaging and all of that. It was going to be tough. And then ultimately you have to prove it.
Yeah.
Even though it happened, from our point of view as a player representative, but you got to prove it.
Like, we all know.
Yeah.
We all know this happens. Like, we're all adults in the room.
Watch this. Do you think the NFL colluded against Shedeur Sanders?
I would have I think there is something to it, is how I would label it. I don't know if I really have the evidence of it, but to me, the Dillon Gabriel thing is a smoking gun for the whole situation.
Right, but yet it's hard to prove.
It's hard to prove.
Right.
It was hard for them to even get this, right? Like, agents didn't even know about this. So like it was
The fact they kept it secret tells you
all you need to know. Because both parties, neither party wanted this out because it makes Treader look bad, it makes the NFLPA look bad, and it makes the owners look. It's basically the sausage, how the sausage gets made, right? We all know there's sausage. Now you know the process of making that sausage, which we're not typically that surprised, right? Like, but this is kind of, it's very interesting. Here's what Mara, the owner of the Giants, he is the lead guy on this management council.
He's the president of the
he
board,
represents the coaches, yeah.
And he's been it for years. I don't even know how long there is no time frame or limit that you could be
I think he's been it since 2012, if I recall correctly from one of these notes, but that's a long time. He says, here's what he asserted. I am not going to be told what to do in terms of an individual player contract by anybody from management council or by anybody from another club. Just the thought of me calling Jerry Jones or somebody and asking him not to guarantee Dak Prescott's contract or somebody else's contract, I mean, he would laugh at me, among other choice words, I'm sure. Just the whole notion is ridiculous. We're out here to win games, and we're going to do whatever we can to improve our own teams. If that means give more guarantees, we're going to give more guarantees. It doesn't always work that way, unfortunately. Sometimes guarantees end up hurting you in the end, but you have to make your own decision. And thought that I'm going to be influenced by what another owner is saying to me is just absurd. Baltimore Ravens' Eric DeCosta testified, it's a competitive business, and the Ravens are trying to fight 31 teams, and they are not in the business of helping me, and I'm not in the business of helping them. Like,
where Kraft and Arthur Blank, where are they? Because they got to know who the certain guys are that run the NFL.
Arthur Blank, he says you have to leave that to talking about Watson's contract the day that was reported. You have to leave that to the Haslams, the owners of the Browns, to make their own judgment. The fact that it's $80 million above the highest contract ever given, guaranteed in the history of the league that's 102 years old says a lot. Whether or not most teams in the NFL or any other teams would have committed to that, I don't know. It's certainly a huge commitment. I also have another quote from Arthur Blank. We'll talk about Robert Kraft, and we'll also get into the details of these three quarterback contracts because these negotiations really shed a light on that. Lamar Jackson probably should have got yourself an agent. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
All righty, so I've got a little extra around the middle, and I'm talking about some LBs, and it's earned, sure, but still. The dead bodies isn't exactly what my goal is. I don't have time to go to the gym every day. I want to feel better when I look in the mirror, but, I'm not trying to do anything extreme. That's why I checked out M-Sculpt Neo at Edge Peptide Therapy. It tones muscle and melts fat, no needles and no downtime. M-Sculpt Neo is the most advanced body sculpting technology available, merging fat reduction with muscle building in one effortless session. Like I said, no surgery, no downtime, just results that speak for themselves. M-Sculpt Neo is your secret weapon, building muscle and burning fat faster than traditional workouts alone. It's like doing, 20,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes without breaking a sweat. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 615-724-1878 to book in June for 2 free sessions. And it's easy, and it works. And all you have to do is just call them, 615-724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're talking about this 61-page, I guess is it a scandal or a bombshell, but a 61-page ruling that neither the NFLPA or the NFL wanted you to know about, and it's been released today. A lot of people want to know why guaranteed contracts can't work in the NFL. And it kind of boils down to a few things. They talk about it in this actual case
with the
as
salary
well.
cap?
Well, you got the salary cap as one of the things because they have a hard salary cap. So for those that may not believe, because there's a lot of people who don't believe the salary cap is real. The salary cap is real. You could just find different ways around it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so this means
And some are better than others at doing that.
The NFL is unique, right? Like the other major sports league don't have a hard salary cap like the NBA and Major League Baseball, which deal out, the fully guaranteed contracts. Here's what Arthur Blank explained it in this deposition. The cap is a closed loop system. You get X number of dollars, and no matter what your personal wealth may be, it makes no difference. Every team has exactly the same salary cap, and you have to operate within that cap. In addition to complying with the salary cap, clubs must also satisfy cash spending minimum for its players. Currently, team cash spending must be at least 90% of the salary, but that is an average over 3 or 4 league years. The last one of those years was 2017, 2020, 2021, 2023, and we're currently 2024 to 2026. They have to spend 90% of the salary cap in cash. So,
I always feel like that part right there never really happens.
Yeah, I would have to go back and calculate it, but I'm kind of with you.
I don't feel like they spent 90%.
Especially the Tennessee Titans don't really feel like they've ever spent 90%.
I don't know, maybe 1 a year or two.
Somehow
I'm like, man, maybe I'm
because their big cash spending year was last year in 2024, which is the start of this new era. So maybe they're ahead of the game now. Maybe that's why we'll see maybe less cash.
Oh, okay.
But guaranteed contracts pose a greater risk for the NFL teams, part because NFL players experience injuries with higher frequency than players in other professional sports. Not only do you have that, but you also have the salary cap as well. And so there's also, the escrow account that you have to put money in, which you can also kind of circumvent too. There's always rules and ways to circumvent these things. It's why proration happened, right? It's why we've seen void years. There's ways to get contracts done within the framework of the salary cap. But the problem has been, Blaine, in the last few years, there's been a 75% increase in dead money, a 60% increase in signing bonuses, and a 42% increase in just base salary in general, which means that these players are actually, what the study has found, since the NFLPA has put this out, talking about 2022, they colluded against us and fully guaranteed money. They're actually spending more in signing bonus than NFL on average, and they're actually, Blaine, fully guaranteeing a higher percentage of the contract than years past. They're never going to get to a fully guaranteed contract unless it's maybe for elite players, but that's why it's been an outlier, because we're talking about 53 players on every team that are wanting somehow a guaranteed contract, and that doesn't make a lot of business sense in the big scheme of things.
Well, I've always felt, you tell me if I'm wrong, that whenever you get a huge signing bonus, this is how I understood with my agent, that almost guarantees you a certain portion of your contract.
That is correct. That's always part of your fully guaranteed money.
When they say, okay, we guarantee the first 3 years, well, that was going to happen regardless if you tore an ACL the next day.
Yeah.
You were going to be there until they got the money's worth, because then that's when usually your contract in the 4th, 5th, or later years is either voided or it escalates to a number that either you're going to renegotiate or they're going to clip you.
Right.
They're going to cut you. So to me, nothing has really changed with that.
It really hasn't, because you got the void years, right? Now you can give up a bigger signing bonus, but you got void years. You can add 2 more years to a 3-year contract
make
to make it look good
and fluffy.
Yeah. You got, like, for Kirk Cousins before this was before Deshaun Watson, there was Kirk Cousins, but it was a very short-term, fully guaranteed deal at like $79 or $80 million. It was a unique situation, whereas Deshaun Watson traded for, then you gave him this big extension, and then you gave him all this fully guaranteed money. Michael Bidwell, the Cardinals, called it baffling. Every owner outside of the Haslams was so confused because this set a bad precedent, obviously a potentially bad precedent. Obviously it didn't, but it could have, because the Haslams gave something for free they never had to give because it's been negotiated in the last 2 CBAs. They don't have to do it. And then they turn around and give something to free for to the NFLPA and the players to use as ammunition. No, thank you.
Well, you know what? I was conflicted. I was happy that someone got a guaranteed contract because I never thought I'd see that from an NFL player. But to me, picking him with all that off-field whole issue that was a bad look to me, not only by the Browns and their ownership, but also the NFL. If you want to pick a guy, how about let's go pick someone of the ilk of like Tom Brady or, some superstar who's somewhat of a choir boy off the field. I mean, man, we're going to go with one that's going to have all this stuff around
and a guy
him?
that also didn't play the previous year.
Yes.
All right. And then he was suspended for the first 11 games of the next year.
I just was like,
so Eric Reed says at the time Watson was worth the money. He was at worst a number 4 quarterback in the NFL.
He wasn't worth, I'm not saying that.
I would say that maybe he's not worth the fully guaranteed money. But also, when you miss a year, we've seen it in the NFL so many times. When you hold out a full year and miss a complete year, you're never the same.
Yeah, you don't get back to halfway through the season if you get back, especially at quarterback. He hasn't looked the same since.
I was totally shocked at that number by Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I mean, because you've seen other players get paid more theoretically, but none of them have been fully guaranteed money.
All right, has a young quarterback, has Love gotten a fully guaranteed contract?
Nobody's got one since.
See, so they're going to make it happen. And it has to be a quarterback first. Yeah. And the only way that it's going to get fair to me, and I've always said this, is if the quarterbacks come together and they step up to the plate and represent all the freaking players. Because they're the only ones that have that kind of caveats, to speak on behalf because they have that kind of power because that's what they sell in the league is all the quarterbacks. So they never say anything. So that's why Tom Brady was never the highest paid.
Nope.
It was
he would even take pay cuts notoriously.
Yes. See, so you knew it wasn't going to happen during that era. So it
would have to be someone here. I don't know who that quarterback is because now you've had Joe Burrow not take it, Josh Allen not take it, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. They all didn't take fully guaranteed contracts. I don't know who is it going to be Jaden Daniels or CJ Stroud? Are they the guys that do it? What's interesting, and that's what I want to get to next, are these 3 different quarterback conversations on Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray, and what the 3 things they all present differently, but where they all went wrong. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll also take your phone calls, see people calling in, 615-737-1045. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
There are a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for everything. But not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop, and when you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. So before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It can not only save your vehicle's life, but could actually save you from a lot of stress that could actually ruin your weekend. And life's too short to get stressed out and angry. So be happy and go to Eurofix. And at Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit and not high-pressure sales tactics. You also get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer pricing. Family owned for 26 years. Located all over the state of Tennessee, starting in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX. Or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
It is 2:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In NFL news, an independent arbitrator ruled that the NFL encouraged teams to collude to reduce guaranteed money to veteran players. This is according to a reporting from Pablo Torre. There is no evidence that the NFL owners acted on this encouragement. In other NFL news, Aaron Rodgers announced today on the Pat McAfee show that this season is likely his last in the NFL. Rodgers signed a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier this month. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics are trading guard Drew Holiday to the Portland Trail Blazers for Anthony Simmons and 2 second-round picks. Drew Holiday is owed over $100 million over the next 3 seasons. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. What was that basketball team? You stumbled over your words there.
The Portland Trail Blazers.
You said something different. Is that what everybody was laughing at back there?
No.
Oh. I don't know. A lot of people were laughing. I thought it was because you definitely did not say Blazers.
What did I say?
I don't know. It was definitely not that. I think because you were laughing because everybody else is laughing.
Joseph and Ross are doing a comedy show back here while I'm trying to report to the good people of Nashville the sports news of the day.
You're handling business.
Yeah.
I'm handling business back here, and they're doing a comedy show.
You did a good job.
Appreciate it.
Well, speaking of handling business, I tell you, Blaine, I mean, the NFLPA brought together 3 cases to prove this collusion.
No.
And they failed epically in all 3 of them.
No.
Not 3 of them.
Yeah.
Let's start with Russell Wilson. And because these all have their own little things and they're all pretty funny because it's just, the art of negotiation sometimes just hilarious to me. Wilson testified that early in the discussions with the Broncos, he requested a 7-year, fully guaranteed contract of $50 million a year, Blaine.
Ooh. Oh.
And he says they didn't blink when he said. They kept saying, we'll do whatever it takes, Wilson explained. And I'm thinking, come on. You were not very good at the time that this was coming out. But, you also had 2 years left on your Seattle Seahawks contract that they just traded all those draft picks before for you. And you come in and say you want a 7-year, fully guaranteed contract of around $50 million a year. I would love to know, after they hung up the phone, how long they laughed after that. Because that is an insane number to get. And listen, I'm all for shooting high. But, man, you shot for the moon. You may have shot past the moon, landed in Jupiter.
Well, first of all, let's clarify. It was not Russell Wilson who said that. That was his agent.
True. I mean, but he says he requested. So, that may be, listen, that may be a little bit of, too much to put on Russell, but I get your point.
You think he talked to the lead legal counsel there for whoever about his contract?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think I ever talked to Mr. Underwood about my contract when I'm negotiating my contract.
Some of these players, they make it sound like they're, well, not the Kyler Murray one, but the Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson obviously represents himself.
So that makes sense.
Wilson, I'm not sure if I don't think he does represent himself.
Oh, I don't know.
But the way he words it in this deposition, it makes it sound like that. But after he waived his no trade clause and the trade to the Broncos became public, he says, quote, I would say shortly after, maybe within the next 10 days or so, they started getting cold feet on doing this fully guaranteed thing. It seemed like the Broncos ownership, it seemed like it, he said. And then, of course, the Broncos ownership changed ownership that same season, remember? And so after they traded for Wilson, they changed ownership, and they could not sign him to a new contract until the new ownership group was approved by the NFL owners at their August 2nd, 2022 meeting, which is the meeting in question about the fully guaranteed money, which the new owner, Pinner, the majority owner, Pinner, was not even present at, by the way. So that was the big thing. Like, although they said they colluded against Russell Wilson because of this meeting, he didn't even go to the meeting.
It was August 2nd. That doesn't even seem like a time that he would be there to be negotiating his contract.
Yeah, well, I guess it extended throughout the whole thing because, I mean, he got traded, early in 2022. And then though he had 2 years left on his contract, he's trying to negotiate for a new one.
Okay.
And so so Pinner, the new owner, was like, 2 years left on the contract. Why not wait? Why are we even entertaining this idea of a new contract? Mm-hmm. At the hearing, Mr. Pinner testified that Watson's contract was a complete outlier versus the other contracts that had been done and believed that it was off the market and we weren't going to do something like that, characterizing a contract like Watson's was a non-starter. And of course, Wilson settled for a non-guaranteed contract. And guess what? Mr. Goodell texted him in this deposition. Did he get the first 2
years guaranteed?
I think first 2 years. But not fully guaranteed contract like he's one. But he goes around to say, in this deposition, he says, Mr. Goodell texted me to congratulate him, and he says, I couldn't be happier in response. That's what Wilson said that he said. So then in turn, that just goes to show you this was a Wilson decision, not a collusion evidence. No collusion evidence presented in that.
What was he supposed to say after he signed for $1 gazillion?
I don't know.
I still was upset that they didn't give me what I wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but also, like, where you can't leave a paper trail if you're wanting to.
Was he supposed to just give him a thumbs up?
Yeah, give him a thumbs up.
Oh, that's still approving it.
Yeah, just ghost him. Leave him on red.
No, you can't ghost the sheriff.
You can't ghost the sheriff. You can't leave him on red.
You can't ghost the sheriff, man. Come on, man.
The Murray one is funny because I don't know if you guys, and probably not, but the Murray contract is the craziest, most complicated, intricate contract I have ever seen.
I just remember hearing, maybe I'm wrong, but he had something about video games in this one?
Oh, yeah. The video games, incentives and all this stuff. They put that in there
because he was always playing with Jackson online.
He was. They were playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah. Was he pretty good, Kyler Murray?
I'm sure he's much better than I am. I'm horrible at Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So after his third season in 2022, Kyler Murray's agent, of course, started opening up negotiations with the Cardinals. Burkhart submitted a non-fully guaranteed offer to the Cardinals a few weeks before the Deshaun Watson contract. Burkhart withdrew that offer on March 24th. So from February 17th, he submitted it. March 24th, he pulled it because of the Cardinals' unresponsiveness to Kyler's proposal made over 5 weeks ago and the quarterback landscape having drastically changed with all the new quarterback deals, specifically Watson's. So now Burkhart comes back with a fully guaranteed contract offer, and it was very important to both him and Mr. Murray. And Mr. Burkhart believed Kyler was better and more deserving than Deshaun Watson to get a fully guaranteed contract.
That doesn't mean he's going to do it.
Doesn't mean he's going to do it. The Cardinals obviously saw the negotiations differently. They go, Bidwell, the owner of the Cardinals, at the time the GM was Steve Keim, texted Keim and said, we're going to load up this contract with so many incentives to earn the real money. And that's what they did. This is the most complicated. You have to be healthy. You have to be available. You have to throw this many yards to get fully guaranteed over on this salary. It is, Blaine, most if you were to look at a computer screen, most contracts have like an inch worth of clauses on Spotrac. This thing was at least 5 inches of contract clauses on Spotrac, which was an insane amount. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a contract like it. It is the most complicated thing I've ever seen.
Actually, I'm glad you said that because if you're sitting in the GM chair after all that happened with Watson and that guaranteed contract, I probably would have done something similar to what he did. and made it all incentivized. That way he covers himself.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you don't get the money, but if you play up to par, it is almost like it's guaranteed because these guarantees are almost, as long as you're playing, you should be able to get them.
Yeah. And some of it's like, your base salary of this amount of much guarantees if you're still on our roster this league day and such and such.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what Bidwell said. Why the Browns felt so compelled to pay Watson like that is baffling. And he made sure that everybody understood we weren't doing that. We weren't doing a fully guaranteed big contract.
Right.
They made it clear to Kyler's agent. Made it very clear. He testified that the Cardinals representatives made it clear to me for months that like the fully guaranteed Watson deal market was a non-starter for them. So they knew for months in these negotiation process, hey, we're holding our ground. We're not doing a fully guaranteed contract. Burkhardt eventually realized they were serious about that conversation and moved back and brought together a non-fully guaranteed proposal. And of course, in July 2022, Murray signed a 5-year, $230 million contract with the Cardinals. Of the compensation included in that contract, $103 million was fully guaranteed. 103 out of 230 fully guaranteed. Cardinals won.
Yeah, they did.
No collusion right there. When we come back, we'll talk about Lamar Jackson because this one's hilarious. I love it because I thought that the whole Lamar Jackson thing was handled poorly, and Eric DaCosta and the Ravens really won against Lamar Jackson. There's some funny business on Lamar Jackson's end that's pretty hilarious too. Cover 2, Blaine Bishop, Zach Lyons here, 105 The Zone.
Ever wonder how I keep my mojo? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop here, and if you're looking for the best tacos in town, you gotta check out Mojo's Tacos. They've got 3 amazing locations, including my favorite spot in Nolensville. And Mojo's Tacos is where the magic happens. Whether you're craving their mouth-watering carne asada, their delicious fish tacos, or their famous street corn, they've got it all. And don't forget their house-made salsa that packs a you-know-what. And each location has great vibe, perfect for family night out and catching up with friends. Plus, their friendly staff will make you feel right at home. So head on over to Mojo's Tacos and taste the difference. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Mojo's Tacos, 3 locations and a 1 unforgettable experience.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. The Lamar Jackson negotiations were very interesting at the time because you didn't have teams, wanting to jump at the chance. You didn't have teams that, wanted to negotiate with them and all this kind of stuff. It kind of turns out we talked about ghosting and leaving on red. Roger Goodell earlier, the sheriff, and you said I wouldn't be allowed to do that, but I would probably do it. I'm going to leave him on red. I got to make a power play there. But Lamar Jackson's negotiations are hilarious.
Right.
Because he's not represented by an agent. He's assisted by his mother, Felicia Jones, and he negotiated directly with general manager Eric DeCosta of the Ravens. DeCosta testified that he's not opposed to fully guaranteed contracts. This is very interesting and important because this is in now the players' hands, right? The players now have that information for the Ravens at the very least.
Yeah.
He says just not fully guaranteed contracts pushed out to later years. So he's okay with a short term, and we've seen a couple of teams kind of try to throw this out there. A 2 or 3 year fully guaranteed contract, right? We've seen it from Kirk Cousins. We've seen other people try to do this as part of the negotiation, but players want that long-term security. Do not blame them for that.
For me, I would have felt like, okay, we got to take baby steps here. This is a big task. How about one of these quarterbacks take a 2 or 3 year deal? We know that is manageable, and then that will lead down the road to eventually, once you get to 4 years, then now we're talking where we got to you got to massage it in there. You can't think you can get a home run right off the bat.
Well, and he additionally he even said that in Lamar's case,
especially a running quarterback,
right? Oh, you hit it right on the head.
I didn't know what you were gonna say. What happened?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson this is what DeCosta said. Additionally, Jackson has a different playing style. A running quarterback, and has incurred some injuries, and injuries are one reason why DeCosta tried to minimize guarantees in the 5th and 6th years of contracts. Because it's not just Lamar, but anybody that has a lot of injuries, he doesn't want to put out fully guaranteed money all the way out to a 5th or 6th year.
Makes sense to me.
Jackson asked for a fully guaranteed contract at the time, and they knew that a fully guaranteed contract was important to Lamar. After a conversation with Lamar in 2022, DeCosta came to believe that Jackson would accept a non-fully guaranteed deal and offered Jackson such a contract. Jackson did not accept. DeCosta then tried to do some short-term fully guaranteed contracts. And this is what Jackson wrote in a text. I'm going to continue to request all caps, fully guaranteed contract. I understand you all don't, all caps, and that's fine. So after the 2022-2023 season, they started negotiating again. And Jackson renewed his request for fully guaranteed contract. This is when DeCosta offered 2 different 3-year contracts that were fully guaranteed. 3-year contracts. Jackson did not accept either of those contracts and requested a trade. Here's where it gets funny. Okay, he requested a trade. I'm sure on the radio you had so many people calling in saying trade for Lamar at the time with Ryan Tannehill still under contract and all that stuff. But here's what's funny. You feel like you're stifling some laughter here.
Well, it's definitely funny. He just used that as an excuse that he didn't want to talk to him.
Right.
And we need to talk via text because he was getting emotionally attached in negotiations. And that's why players should not be part of the negotiations. I mean, some of the things that they say during this process, you might as well just be like, dang, can I actually play? I mean, they start believing some of the stuff they're saying, So That's all that was. So that it is hilarious that he texted that my microphone is broke. Maybe it was broken. He didn't have one available to him at where he was at. I don't know.
Yeah. So apparently we lost our audio cut out after I said, "Oh, here's the hilarious part," and then nobody heard the hilarious part. That during these negotiations, so I'm going to repeat it for those that didn't get to hear it.
Jackson
Mr. Jackson said that the microphone on his phone was not working, making communications difficult. So basically, he kind of used I'm not going to be able to make it to our meeting or our date because I'm washing my hair.
Yeah.
He used that old excuse on him.
Well, what if they said, but you can't run? Isn't that laughable?
Yeah.
If the Ravens said that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you said that I run. That's why we're probably where we're at right now in negotiation.
Yeah.
So
you never know.
Gave him back a little bit of his own medicine, and then guess what? They don't like that.
Yeah. So when he demanded the trade, DaCosta asked him for the name of some teams he might be interested in being traded to.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I want to help facilitate a trade, or at least let you see what your market looks like, right? Mm-hmm. Because we saw with Trey Hendrickson, hey, the Bengals said, hey, go out and see what your market's like. We've seen it with many players during this time. But, hey, tell some teams you'd be interested in trading. We'll try to facilitate something.
This time. Wasn't it only the Falcons? Or were they?
Well, it was actually ended up being some teams called the Ravens, but no teams were really interested in talking to Lamar at the time, which we'll get into here in just a second. But you know what? You know what Jackson did? Didn't provide a list. He didn't even respond.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Good job, Jackson. But he did, yeah. Lamar didn't even send them a list. Right? They are asking you for you said you wanted to trade. Hey, where's the list of teams that you'd be willing to go? Let's try to facilitate trade. Doesn't even send the list. Did he even really want to be traded?
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah, right? These negotiations just seem these events seem like a player that's represented by himself.
I'm going to say this. I think you'll be surprised that they do that kind of negotiation. Not players, but negotiate with the pettiness that we're seeing
No,
here.
gotcha.
Yeah, I held out when I was franchise tag.
Yeah.
This same pettiness sounds very familiar. You can't tackle. You can't do that. Yeah.
They said the hitman can't tackle.
Right,
It's in your name.
So then you know it's laughable, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you know that the team has nothing to stand foot on.
Yeah.
This is just negotiation, see? But to the player, it's personal.
Yeah.
It becomes very personal.
I cannot imagine telling someone with the literal name, the hitman, that you can't tackle.
Yeah, that's what they say. They don't have anything. They start reaching, grab bagging because they don't know what to say because you have the leverage. Like everything I'm saying about what's going on here is true. So they start making up stuff. So you think it's laughable. At the same time, that happened in 2022. I'm talking about it in 1997.
Yeah.
See, the same stuff. And I'm represented by a big-time agent. It wasn't me. He's translating it to me, and then I just go out to the track and go to the weight room and just start hammering away the weights in the track and running and working out. And I'm just like, all right, go.
Now I'm very curious into looking and seeing if because I don't think the stat was available back then. But I am just curious to see, did you have a missed tackle stat?
No.
Because I didn't know if you could bring that.
Watch this. I'm about to tell you something real funny.
Okay.
I probably missed less than 10 tackles in my career. Not in a year, in a season, in a career.
But you were told you can't tackle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, this is laughable.
It is. It's so laughable. It's crazy to me.
But I didn't miss too many tackles, man.
517 solo tackles. 738 combined tackles. We're gonna see. I'm gonna do some research to see where that stacks up during that time because I find this so silly on their part.
It's just negotiation.
Yeah.
But see, people not know. I would be like you. I would think that nobody said stuff like that.
If I was your agent, and I'm sure they did. I would say, "What'd you just say to me?"
No, he just laughed. But that's how it goes.
I'd be like, you guys are saying the hitman can't tackle?
The whole thing is the wait out. It's the wait out and to wait you out to get you at the lowest number that they can get you. And they know that they're going to sign you.
Yeah. So the wait out happened with Lamar, right? Because remember, he got franchise tagged. And if any team came with an offer The Ravens got a chance to match, and if they don't match, that team not only has to pay Lamar Jackson, but also give up 2 first-round picks, mind you.
They would never go do that. Oh, I remember everything now. Yeah, that was never going to happen.
So that's where it kind of get into. There are several that basically says, because this was one case when they brought it up at the time, I was like, okay, maybe there is a little bit of collusion here because this seems a little weird. Because it's Lamar Jackson. Right. We're talking about an MVP. Not at the time a 2-time MVP, but I think he is now. It was after the fact. But, like, we're kind of looking at, like, nobody's interested. The Desmond Ridder Falcons aren't interested.
Right.
So, basically, Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, went through a myriad of reasons why teams may not want him. Some teams already had accomplished quarterbacks with whom they were satisfied because of the size of the contract he would demand. Maybe they didn't have the cap room for the contract the size of Lamar Jackson's expected contract. Maybe they didn't have enough money to put in the league escrow account as required by the CBA because some owners, not all owners, are cash rich. Maybe it was the fact they had to give 2 first-round picks in addition to the big contract. Maybe that dissuaded teams. Maybe it was the injuries were factors. In fact, the Falcons, when they went public, said injuries. Mr. Blank testified. Arthur Blank testified that Mr. Jackson's injuries were factors in the Falcons' public decision not to try to sign to Lamar.
Yeah, I think Blank even said it publicly. I don't know why I feel that way. But here's what I'm going to say real quick. Here's where, and I have no problem with parents or you negotiating your own contract, but here's where an agent would have been very, very helpful for him. And I remember I said this at the time, is that now the relationship of the agent with other organizations, even if they had a quarterback, they still may have been interested, and his mother or whoever was representing him did not have those kind of relationships to just dial a number and call them and they'd call you back.
Right.
See, and that hurt. That hurt him.
That was my big beef at the time, too. This whole thing is like, at a certain stage, I always knew that he was going to get tagged. I was like, the Ravens would be silly. Because at the time, get traded, it's like, no, he's going to get tagged. Because the Ravens don't want him to go. They don't want him to go somewhere else. Right, they want to sign him. So they're going to tag him. I said, I guarantee you, I almost actually predicted almost to the number the contract he was going to sign for because I was so confident he was going to sign with the Ravens because no team wanted to give up 2 first-round picks. No team wanted to pay all this big old contract and everything. It was really difficult. And listen, I think that if I were the Falcons, I would have done it.
I would have done it too.
Because, I mean, like, I know that they say that, Desmond Ridder provided us more cap room flexibility, but who gives a crap about cap room flexibility when you got Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, it would have been electric there.
It would have been awesome. It'd been awesome for the city of Atlanta. Been kind of like it probably got you, Michael Vick, shades of Michael Vick, but a better version of Michael Vick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild that they didn't do it. And I agree with everybody, but they laid out, they got a lot of things. But here's the thing. It seemed, according to all this evidence, Lamar talked to the arbitrator, DaCosta, Bisciotti, all these guys talked to the arbitrators. Even Arthur Blank was there, was one of the guys. That Jackson was not actually committed to playing elsewhere. He wanted to be at Baltimore.
Oh yeah, he never went. He fits the culture and what they all are. I mean, they wanted him to. They did.
And you know what happened? This is the wild thing.
What was the final deal on the contract?
So DaCosta was like on the eve of the NFL draft. People forget it was on the eve of the NFL draft in 2023. He just took a wild shot in the dark. And they said, let's send over a contract, just see if he agrees to it. Let's see where we're at with Lamar Jackson. We're preparing for the draft. Let's see where we're at. And much to DaCosta's surprise.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's an implied threat. We may take a quarterback.
That could be. Is what he says. DaCosta was preparing for the 2023 draft in April under the assumption that Jackson would no longer be playing for the Ravens. But on the eve of the draft,
we'll give you one last shot.
By the way, this is the C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson draft.
But what pick were they?
They were in lower, but they may trade up. You never know.
Yeah.
They maybe drafted Will Levis. Wouldn't that have been a different world we would have been living in? And he goes, but on the eve of the draft, they sent Jackson a new offer. And much to DaCosta's surprise, Jackson quickly accepted it. As my voice cracked right there on quickly. He signed a 5-year, $260 million contract with $135 million guaranteed at signing and a $72.5 million signing bonus.
And he'd probably get off of it.
Yeah, and he probably will. And I think there's already rumors that they're already working on an extension.
Yeah.
Which that tends to happen, right? But that also would have happened. Okay, so that would have been 2023. So 2023, 2024. This is 2025, and they're already working on an extension. You could have got a fully guaranteed deal and been doing the same thing. And much to your point, take the baby steps.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. Because I was saying it at the time. I would have, because there is risk with him running.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, and I think that everybody kind of knows about that, right? Like, I mean, this isn't some new thing that, hey, running quarterbacks tend to get injured at a little bit of a higher rate than the rest of them.
A lot of them say that that's not true because he sees where the hits are coming from and he ducks and, avoids it.
Like Patrick Mahomes does, but he's not a running quarterback. He's a shifty quarterback. I don't know what you would even label him.
An elusive
quarterback.
He's not a runner.
Ultimately, all of this to say is that in the conclusion, this is what they found. Nothing. This was the closing statement. While the NFL Management Council did encourage the 32-member clubs of the NFL to reduce guarantees and future contracts with players at the March 2022 annual meeting of the club owners, the clubs did not join in on such an agreement and did not act in accordance with one as to the 3 quarterbacks named in the initial arbitration. No evidence was found. And in fact, like I said earlier, the guaranteed money has increased. The percentage of the guaranteed money on contracts has increased since that time, and the amount in the signing bonus has increased in that time. And we've seen a lot of people get paid. This was such a waste. I mean, I know this feels like a waste of time, but this actually does matter for future things. Like, look at what the Ravens put out there, right? If you're an agent negotiating with the Ravens, I would be looking for short-term guaranteed contracts because he said that he would be interested and at least open to the idea.
Well, let's quantify that. That was the superstar player.
That is true.
Actually, the quarterback. So you would have to at least be in the star level type player to even be in that consideration. So I don't know who those other players would be on their team. I don't pay a lot of attention. I don't know if there's any besides Derrick Henry, which they did give a contract extension to.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much guaranteed just now. So I don't know the receivers, maybe some defensive players. I have no idea.
Yeah, it would be
maybe their safety from Notre Dame.
Kyle Hamilton could be one. Obviously, Derek. I think maybe we'll just see what Roger Rosengarten, their right tackle, is as the years go on.
Got
but
the
he's
young
a young
receiver
guy.
too.
Young receivers, Zay Flowers. But I would be, all about taking some fully guaranteed short-term deals if I was a player as a stepping stone.
The tight end, Lively. Never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Goes to Carolina.
Right. Well, when we come back, Aaron Rodgers has spoken. He has said some interesting things that I want to laugh at, as well as to say, hey, it has been a nice career. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, folks, I've been talking about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance for years because they're the leading experts in sports medicine and performance and the team physician for the NFL, college, and high school athletics across Tennessee. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. They have 29 locations throughout the state and over 100 physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And TOA has 11 urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week. They offer direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy and nutrition, personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility, reduce pain, and improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. And TOA also offers sports performance training, a specialized program designed to enhance athletic performance, provide tailored training solutions for athletes at all levels. So please check out their services at TOA.com. Yes, that's right. TOA.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Aaron Rodgers allegedly says this is his last year. He's riding off into the sunset. He only wanted to come back for the love of the game. This is what he said on the Pat McAfee show today. It's been a long run, and I've enjoyed it. What better place to finish than in one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL with Mike Tomlin and a great group of leadership, great guys in a city that expects you to win. He says, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a one-year deal. So
he said, pretty sure.
Pretty sure, because we all know you got to leave yourself a little out. Remember, Ben Roethlisberger, faked retirement like 10 years in a row, it felt like. But 20-year career, year 20. He thinks this is the last hurrah. So, I don't know if it actually will be or not. Because, if you get to the championship, the AFC championship, and you lose by 1 point because your kicker missed a 50-yard field goal, you're coming back, right? Yeah. Aren't you coming back?
Well, I would say this. I would say yes, but I watched it live, and I saw him in person.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that this is it. And he didn't come back just because it ended the way it ended.
Yeah.
He came back because he said he still loves football and Phil thinks he can play at a high level, and this is it. And the reason why I say I think it is, regardless of what happens, he talked about privacy, and I don't know if he got married. I think he did.
Yeah, he did say
because
that he got married.
McAfee and those guys were joking like they didn't get an invitation, or can we get an invitation to the, some other things, So, and he talked about whoever his wife is. He never said her name. That she doesn't want no parts of fame and or being in celebrity status, and he got pissed off talking about TMZ or whoever is following, taking pictures of him all over the place. And let alone took a picture of him and Tomlin on the beach talking and walking. And he said Tomlin actually helped him through some personal stuff throughout this whole process. So he has a lot of respect for him. So he said after this season, he says he knows he's going to be in the spotlight during the season. He says, you will not see or hear from me. So I want to see if this happens. He said it. And
I know he said it, but that was going to be my next point.
Well, guess what?
I don't believe it.
I've never heard him say that before. I've never heard him say that.
He kind of says stuff like that, maybe not directly.
He seems like he was in a different place because he was talking about mentoring Will Howard.
Yeah.
He was going out of his way. He didn't sound like the old Aaron Rodgers is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The arrogant, pompous,
right.
I'm that dude. He didn't sound anything like that. Only time he sounded like that is when he was getting pissed that he's getting tired of being followed. And where's the privacy? Because somebody posted where he bought a house and, just putting all his information out there. He was upset about that.
But do you really think?
I think so.
Not that it's going to be his last year. I do think it's going to be. But do you really think he's not going to be still going?
I thought he would go right in there and go on McAfee show or something.
Yeah,
but I don't know. The way
we're talking about a guy that just had his own documentary.
The reason why I say this because he followed that up when he said that. He was talking about his wife, and she wants no parts of it.
And she's not famous in whatsoever.
She's not famous and don't want no parts of it. And this when he said he won't, and he will disappear.
Maybe
See, that's why when he involved a woman, that's what made me believe him.
And then when she leaves him, we'll see him again.
Well, that could happen. That could happen.
But, he did leave his family, right?
No, he brought that up, even talking about all these baseless, unknown rumors about his family. He said that's a bunch of BS.
So that's not true anymore?
He said it. Yeah, he said I watched it live. I was tuned. It just so happened it was on the channel because I was doing something else and I stopped. It's like, let me sit down and watch it. And that's all I got out of it because he did go on further, but he hit some great points there. And I instantly went on and saw people were tweeting out, Adam Schefter.
So maybe an old dog can learn a new trick.
Well, as you age, you learn different things and you determine what you want and don't want. Yeah, and he did talk about he never realized how much being a quarterback kind of brings with the celebrity status, and he kind of leaned into it where, he wants his privacy. He kept hammering in he wanted his privacy. And so that makes me believe him. He doesn't want the attention because I think it's all attention. That's why I said if you would have saw the interview, I think it would have been different than, that's just Aaron Rodgers again. Because that's what I would have thought,
So
too.
you got that vibe.
I did.
I got a different vibe, but maybe it's just
You
my
watched it
hate.
live?
Maybe it's just my hate.
You watched it live?
I've seen the clip. I mean, I didn't get to watch it live.
But it was, I don't know. I want to believe him. I do, and I'm with you. I'm like Aaron Rodgers is enough for me.
Yeah,
he handled the receiver situation with the Packers wrong. All of it. Said some things I think he shouldn't have said publicly anyway about that whole situation. His leadership style is a little bit different, but
let me ask you this: knowing that you would have gotten this Aaron Rodgers, would that have changed your opinion with how the Tennessee Titans should approach the offseason early in the offseason? Because we talked a lot about Aaron Rodgers. But if you were getting this version of Aaron Rodgers on the Tennessee Titans, would that have changed anything for you at the time in free agency?
No, because whenever I look at veteran players that are elite players, that's what I said about Henry, Byard, all those guys. I wanted them to be on successful teams because you want to win. And if you model what I did, that's exactly why I took less to go to the Eagles because they had a really good team.
Right.
Well, you want to get a ring because not too many people can say they got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
And so after you've made the money, you're a really elite player, you want to say that you got something to show for it. And so,
really,
no, I didn't
don't want to
go
go from the Jets to the Titans.
No, that's why I say no.
Yeah.
No. That's why that was my whole reason behind my thought process there. No, he's a veteran guy, wants to be a veteran team. I already built. I'm the last piece. Hopefully we can get in the playoffs and then nothing.
He's
you never know
this
what
is
will
his
happen.
Tom Brady Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he said that?
Well, no, but I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping for is that you get the ring. He's wanting the ring.
Well, he never said any of this.
Yeah, but I mean, you know that he's kind of thinking this is probably his best chance to get a ring last stop. You know what I'm saying? If it's your last year and you're wanting to go to a successful team, this, out of all the teams that had a quarterback opening in some form or another, Steelers always made sense because he's probably, even before we knew that this was going to be his last year, he was looking for that ring.
Yeah, he even brought up Arthur Smith, even the passing of his father, prayers to that.
Yeah.
He was coming from a different angle. I've never heard this kind of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It was a little different. I don't know if he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes or what, but it was different.
If he doesn't want to be in the public eye as much when he's in, shouldn't he quit doing the Pat McAfee show from here on in?
He did say that after this season. I did say that.
I know, shouldn't he go ahead and do it, or is he just trying to get that last bit of,
I think he knows what comes with the territory.
When you know that, was it dry November, dry January, dry December? What's the dry month? You kind of maybe want to have a few beers the month, that last day of the month before you start doing the dry.
No, I think he understands. You play in the National Football League, you're a starting quarterback, especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of these big time, organizations like that historically in the NFL. That comes with the territory. That's kind of how he was talking. And that once this season is up, because he said it, then it ends.
Then it ends.
Yep.
We'll see.
I know. I want to know because I want to believe him. And I'm not easy believed.
I don't want this, I'm going to show up maybe in the summer times and I'll be in. If you're out, you're out.
I thought he was going to skirt around if it's his last season. He directly said, this is it. I was like, whoa, I wouldn't have said that. I mean, to a certain extent, like, not unless something happens, maybe he goes to Super Bowl and loses. I don't know. Maybe that would prompt him. But he really said that's the plan. Like, he leaned into it. I wouldn't have done that. I would have left it open. But he did.
He did say pretty sure.
Sure, pretty sure.
So that'd be about it on where that lies. His pretty sures probably do have a wide range to him. There's a lot of leeway to his pretty sure.
I don't know. We got a caller?
We got a caller.
Uh-oh.
Should I just take it? Let's just take it.
They said I'm a ding-dong for believing it.
Oh, caller, you got hit with the music. But real quick, what you got? All right. That'll do it for us. That is the dangers of answering a live show, a live call on air. So sorry to the caller. Call back for 3HL because they're next and maybe they'll answer your phone call.
Bananas hung up on them. That will do it for us. Has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. In the meantime. And in between time, peace.